Namaste. Good evening.
Namaste. Good evening.
Welcome to the interesting session of Turiya Talks today with Soma Basu ma'am. Ma'am is a deputy editor with The Hindu, and we would be talking about how journalism has evolved in this digital era. Ma'am, welcome to Turiya Talks.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you, a young
Right,
group.
right, ma'am. So, we first of all, I would like to know your perspective, and then, of course, we will try to know how journalism has evolved.
So I should start with that, how journalism
Yes,
has evolved.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you see, like, I belong to a different era altogether. We started journalism at the time of typewriters, Remington typewriters. And now when I look back and when I think retrospectively, I the first thing as a journalist which hits me is, my God, how did we file copies on those typewriters and make the corrections? That is more important. You pull the roll and you type a line and then you make the correction with white ink. And now I can't imagine writing an article on a typewriter, because on computers it is so easy. Like, you just shuffle your paragraphs, you place a word here and there. That is just speaking as a personal, like, as a reporter, how I feel. So from typewriter, we shifted to computers, and life became very easy in the sense that at the click of a button, I mean, I could actually multitask. I could make the pages, I could do the layout, I could do the designing, and things, life seemed so easy and till then uncomplicated. Then we switch to now what is called the entire digitization of the media, but which has also now started encompassing or embracing a much, much larger meaning and canvas. So social media has now made things much, much more faster. The speed with which things happen, the speed with which we're supposed to work, that has totally changed the meaning of journalism. Because earlier as a journalist, I felt it was always the truth which had to be there, more important. Now I feel it is first and fast. Both the qualities are good, but what is happening now is, with first and fast, you are not having enough time to always cross check. You're compromising on certain things. Everybody's in a hurry, everybody's in a rush, and people are not really bothered that what, as a journalist, we are giving to you is the truth or not, which was our original aim as a news journalist. So I feel digitization has, see, as like anything, change is always good. And as anything, every change comes with its positives and negatives. So if on one hand, technology has made, again, life easier, to do things easier, but it has also brought a flip side along with it, where we don't seem to be having any kind of control. Can I keep the answers brief so that, uh,
Yes, yes. So that,
because no, my idea is, like, if you ask me more questions and we can put in multiple answers, otherwise it will
yeah,
become
multiple
repetitive, maybe.
perspective. Right.
Otherwise
So,
maybe it will become little repetitive.
right, ma'am. So journalists, they have many, many tools in their arsenal. They can use focused keywords, they can use tags, optimize news websites, blogs, and they can share a lot on social media. This means that while tighter, shorter stories that involve lists or on basically ongoing trend play with the digital audience, editors still they seek same stories they always have. When we talk about breaking stories, investigative reporting, human interest features, they're the backbone of the newsroom. So, would you throw some light? Has it changed, or what is it?
See, again, if I compare, two things have happened simultaneously. Like, as I said, it is, as you rightly pointed out, we have lots of tools now in hand, and the visibility is different. See, earlier journalism meant newspaper, essentially the print media, and you had a radio, and much later came the television news. So it was all, I wouldn't say the perspective was narrow, but it was limited. So now, and the visibility mattered on the literate population, one section, and the others who had a radio to listen to the news and understand. But now what is happening is, with the social media and the all pervasive nature of internet, people are able to access, and it is giving the journalists definitely much more visibility. These the exact the points you mentioned, we also discuss in our meetings, these keywords, how to kind of promote, how to push, how to market your stories. That has become very easy. Earlier days we didn't have this. Earlier days we just wrote a story, we forgot, and we just, we left it to the mercy of our readers. If they bought the paper, if they read it, fine, our story became popular and we became popular. But now it is not like that. Now whatever you write, just you can use some catchy phrases and keywords, and you push your story with those hashtags, and suddenly boom, it goes. And sometimes many stories don't even have that kind of relevance. So again, there are both advantages and disadvantages. And when I was talking about, like truth, what we really focused on, let truth be there in the news. Now it is like being first and fast. I'll just give you, as a side story, a small thing about, like, I work for the Hindu, which is generally known as a very credible newspaper. So there was always a story about the Hindu that you cannot, suppose there's a death that you have to report. So in you will read in all other newspapers, it will be immediately reported, but in the Hindu you will read the same news after 3 days. Why? Because Hindu believes in the truth. It will actually really go to the graveyard to check, yes, the person we are writing about has passed away, and only then we will publish his photo and publish the article. So, I mean, this is just a joke, but what I'm saying is, that was the thought process, that was the thinking behind reporting, that you really have to cross check, double check, recheck every aspect. Now, do you think we have the time? No, because we are all in a hurry. We are worried that the other person, the other channel will get the news first. And newspapers are also not competing with newspapers now. Newspaper journalism is also competing with television journalism. So if you have seen the news in the morning today, and then a developing news happens in the evening, so the newspaper also will actually forget the morning news and focus on the evening news, because half the population would have already seen it in the news bulletins. So we would, though we are printing once in 24 hours, but we will think the news that occurred in the first 12 hours has already become stale and old. But we are not realizing that we have not given our readers that 24 hours period ka news. We are also indirectly and subconsciously competing with the television journalism. So this is one thing which sometimes I feel is, like, in a way ruining the whole sanctity of the profession, like the basic values or the ethics with which we are taught and told to report, those are at times being compromised.
Right. So, ma'am, if we talk about current times, what qualities one should have to become a journalist?
Actually, qualities for a journalist, I don't think will should change at any time, right? So the most important is that, put yourself in the shoes of a reader. When you go out to report something, you just put yourself in the shoes of a reader and just think what you as a reader would like to know about what has happened. That is the first most important thing. And that, in old school of journalism, we used to learn it would be answered through your five W's and one H.
Right.
Of course, that has undergone a lot of evolution and modification. So once you have put yourself and you know that, okay, I as a reader want to know certain things about this incident, then your duty is to be truthful as far as possible. Remain honest to the facts that you have either gathered or you have been told. Try to go as close as truth. I mean, you may not really be an investigative journalist to get into the root of the thing, but because, I mean, this is a huge, vast canvas. I mean, you have to cover all kinds of news. So you have to be as truthful as possible. Try to, because you're the mirror. You're the mirror of the society. What you will tell your reader and your viewer will believe it. So it is up to you, the onus is on you to give a truthful reflection of what is actually happening. not play around with facts. Facts you should report direct as they are. And third, what I feel is you have to be, explaining in a very layperson's term. You don't have to really go hi-fi language or in a very, like technical scientific, because majority of the population actually likes to hear and read simple stories. Though we say no, you have to be good in English, you have to show the flair for your language, but ultimately if you look at the feedback from readers, people like and understand what is being told to them in simple words, in layperson's terms. So that is very essential for a reporter. Fourth thing is, you should not think if you have gone to cover an event and to you it is very familiar, because suppose you're, for example, you're on the beat and you have been doing that assignment for years. So you are familiar. But while reporting, you should not think that every reader or every viewer who sees you and hears you is also familiar with the subject. You should each time treat the same subject as if you are also doing it for the first time. You're also learning about it for the first time. Because not everybody knows. If you know, does not mean he or she knows. And something which you do not know does not mean he or she does not know. So there has to be a very judicious blending and balance of whatever you collect and the way you report it. So that is what I mean. And these are certain qualities actually, these should not change. I will not comment whether they have changed, but these are very, very basic tenets of journalism, very, very basic values that we are taught as journalists. So be simple, be honest, be truthful, report as you see it. And most important is try not to give your opinion. Just report the thing. The opinion shaping, the opinion molding is left to the people. When I'm telling you something, I'm just reporting as it is, and it is your freedom and your choice to understand it and interpret it. But if I impose my opinion on you, then my biases are working, and you may also get biased. So a journalist's job is always to be the mirror to the society, and just basically straight report.
Right. Ma'am, the large scale use of services of social networking sites, including Facebook, Twitter, and others, including YouTube, it basically allows news organizations to offer regular updates to consumers on current events, bypassing barriers of time and accessibility. And we have also seen that more than 50% of the Indians, they consume their news on the internet. Maybe not every day, but maybe few days in a week, because India is not just India. India is Bharat and India. Yeah, so we'll have to consider everything. So the way we have some cloud-based voice services like Amazon Alexa, Srini, they read out news to the consumers, and they have their voice commands. So people can do multitask, and they can listen to this. So going forward, how do you see the news bureaus to produce news? So what is the future you see?
See, at the core, I think the basic values will remain. Journalism, the profession of journalism will not change because it is basically a method. Journalism is actually a kind of a social method or a process to obtain information and obtain relevant information. So that, uh, I mean, you obtain, you elaborate, you assess, you analyze. That's how the chain goes. So that perhaps will not change, but with all these, what should I say? I can call them platforms or
Yes,
available.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, what will happen is the review process will change, or that review process is constantly changing, and that in some places is little worrisome. See, earlier what happened was you have printed the news, and I have given you my paper, and you are a subscriber of my paper. You're reading the news, and you have formed an opinion. And okay, you sit with 50 other people, 20 other people, and it's a part of conversation. You are discussing the news. But now, what is happening? You're putting out a news, And immediately there is uh, it's 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 put under a very kind of, I wouldn't use merciless is a strong word, but the scrutiny of that news, the way it is done, that is what is worrisome. And also the selective, whether you call it the selective amnesia of neglecting certain things, or the selective process of choosing certain things, which is also kind of and if we elaborate, then we have to go into how everything is becoming polarized. We are all getting divided into camps, and these tools are now being used to select the news for you on that basis, which is perhaps not the ideal way of journalism to happen. Journalism has to be really unbiased, open, left to criticism. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Nobody should be afraid of criticism. If you're saying something wrong, if you have done anything wrong, fine, it's okay. I mean, you can always rebuild on that, and you can rebuild for the better. But now, with these kind of tools in a fast changing world with a free flow of information, it is becoming increasingly difficult to put a pause anywhere, to have a control anywhere. Things are just going haywire, and it's just absolute chaos. It's absolute chaos in the news world, and as a result, okay, we are free democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of press. We talk about all that, but there is so much available now that people are getting more confused. So I do not know. Sometimes I myself wonder what is the purpose of my giving news to the people, because I am giving it, even if I am giving it in the most faithful and honest and sincere manner. The person who's taking it, he does not seem to be having the same approach. No, he is thinking, okay, well, she works for this organization, and this organization has this kind of affiliation. So her news must not be really true. It must be having some hidden agenda or has some other perspective. The same news I give to another person who likes the policies or the ideology of the organization I work for, and they think, okay, well, yeah, I think they are the ones who are doing the correct job and not anybody else. So, this thought process, this kind of thinking was never there earlier before. Journalists, whatever we told and we did tell sincerely, was really accepted. It was accepted, it was respected, it was honored, it was understood, it was debated, it was discussed, right? But that thing has totally gone missing. This constant hurried review in always not so laudable, commendable, complimentary manner is really, I mean, I really feel is a matter of concern today. Technology is
Right.
good in one way because, okay, you click a button and so many things happen for you. You can do things faster and easily. But it should not allow, but it really should not allow things to go beyond the realm of relevance, go beyond the realm of what actually is the truth. That is where the fear is. Otherwise, journalism, the basic course, the basic tenets of real, true, blue blood journalists should not change, and I also believe will not change.
Right. A very personal question, ma'am. In recent times, how has being a deputy editor and the experience of it and its opportunities changed?
Uh, Not really. I wouldn't quite agree with that. See, one thing, designations in newspapers really don't matter because everybody finally does the same work. Whether you are the sub editor or the junior most reporter to the top editor, all of our jobs is to either collect news, write news, edit news, display news, present the news. So these four things all of us are doing at different, grades of intensity or standards. That is the only difference. So I really wouldn't say that the role, and also these designations are, this hierarchy, it differs in every organization. In one organization, deputy editor may be lower than associate editor. In another organization, is higher than the associate editor. No, so these hierarchies also, these designations also don't mean much in hierarchy and also in the job profile. But having said that, Actually, I feel that it has become very easy these days to enter journalism and also get a lateral entry and also get a higher post. In our times, like we really had to start from the scratch, no matter what. I mean, of course, when I started, there was only English. There was the saying that if you've got a degree in English honors, you are good enough to become a journalist. It just reminds me of Kushwan Singh. I had met him as a young reporter, and I remember I had just cleared my journalism exam. I'm sorry, completed my journalism course, and he asked me, "So why do you want to become a journalist?" So I just told him, "Well, I did English honors. Now I have a diploma in journalism," because I couldn't think of anything else. And he actually looked very condescendingly at me and said, "Journalists are only born. Journalists are not trained, and journalists are not made." So
Yes.
this thing I always remember at the back of my mind. So now, of course, what is happening is you have multiple universities, colleges, private institutions running journalism course. So it is both easy because okay, if you have done a degree diploma in journalism, so your employer or prospective employer feels that you have some basic knowledge and you can be taken. But at the same time, there are so many of them being produced every year that there are not perhaps matching jobs in the field
Right.
also. So
Right.
it's kind of a dichotomy, and it's also kind of a cliched situation where, like everything, it comes both with the good and the bad.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, you are an institution yourself, spent decades and decades in journalism. Firstly, as a political reporter, then writing features, now then as a deputy editor. Ma'am, we wanted to know what is the definition of journalism ethics from an institution yourself?
Again, I go back to the old points which I said. Ethics would only mean your honesty. First and foremost, nothing beats it. Like you have to be honest as an individual. You know your value system. By the way, we also have a code of ethics which is defined under the Press Council of India, and there's also an IT Act and things like that. But if you talk as an individual per se, it is very very important to be very honest with what you are reporting, to get your facts correct. That is, these two things are extremely important. But if you ask about, like what are the traits of a journalist, like what I should be able to see or have, then we again go back. That also will never change. Should have the nose for the news that we always hear. That aptitude. Like if you see something happening, you immediately smell it. You see the story there. You just cannot walk past it thinking it's not my job, but it's not of my concern. So that nose for news also is very important. And then how you're able to approach the subject. Now, can I share a small incident?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. You have to be very sensitive also. See, I'm talking about early 90s, when all these terrorist attacks were happening. I had just about started and I was reporting in Delhi. So there was this first terrorist attack in a Bengali colony called CR Park in Delhi. Till then, we didn't know that people can be killed like this also. Like two boys came with armed weapons on a motorbike, and there was this Kali Puja going on. So they came to the pandal and they just randomly they fired and they escaped. And it was sheer coincidence that in the front was seated a full family of 16 members. They had all got together for the festival. They were seated together, and of that, 13 of them were killed on the spot. Only the grandmother and the granddaughter were alive. So what happened was, next day I was sent to do a follow-up story to I was asked that since you're a Bengali, so why don't you go to their house and see what's happening, and like we do, no aftermath. Incident to
Right,
ho
ma'am.
gaya, it's aftermath of the situation. I went and somehow honestly, I felt very uncomfortable because it was an incident which had shaken everybody, and their house was at the end of a lane, and the whole lane, I still remember, is the visual is so clear in my mind. The lane was clogged with people. Everybody was wearing white dress, and I was standing there in a very colored dress because I had gone after Kali Puja wearing my new dress, and I didn't know in the morning that my boss will send me for this assignment, so I was not appropriately dressed. So I somehow, I couldn't walk through the crowd into the house and talk to the people. I felt very like a fish out of the water. So that sensitivity, that sensibility of, approaching something, which is also, I feel, at times is important. So what we but I had to do my story. So what we did was, we instead decided to go to the hospital where the grandmother was there with the granddaughter who had got a bullet injury. Now this the moment we reached the hospital, it was pure luck for us that this little child, the surgery was over, the little child just opened her eyes. Okay. And the photographer, he got an exclusive photograph. He just took a photograph. After that, all hell broke loose because the grandmother, she lost control. She started shouting, yelling, screaming, crying. She just held my hand and she asked me, "Why are you doing this? Why are you taking her photograph? Will her photograph, if you publish it tomorrow, will it help the government to catch the terrorists? Will it bring back my family members alive? Will it change my life further in any way if you publish this photograph?" That hit me. It really, because she was shaking my hand, she was asking me, "You tell me, you tell me." And I had no answer. I had absolutely no answer. And I didn't know how to report this particular incident. I came back, I discussed with my editor, and we did file a report. But in today's date, I see so many, say, I remember this immediately. What comes to my mind was this big train accident in Uttar Pradesh. And I remember the reporters were all there at the spot on time. And there were bodies strewn, there were luggage strewn all over the railway track. And there was this little 3-year-old girl sitting and crying on the railway track. And the reporter is putting the microphone in the mouth of the little child and saying, "Beta, aapko kaisa lag raha hai?" So, and that little kid perhaps doesn't even know that she or he has gone through an accident. She may have lost her family. But you're asking a question to a 3-year-old beta. So, this is the difference. So, when I say that, somewhere we are also becoming insensitive. That that quality, I think we should not lose. We have to, it is very, very important. We have to stay in touch with the ground reality. Only then will our reportage have some kind of human element. The other thing I feel is, we're losing connection with people. We are losing bonding with our readers if we continue to be like this. One is, of course, over a period of time, because again, I belong to old school, and I know we were never used to be, we were never allowed to remain indoors. We always had to be on the field. But over the years, it has become armchair journalism, desktop journalism. We are picking up a phone, we are calling our source, or we are just getting the story. And the pandemic has made it even worse, when we really, and unless it was absolute emergency for those kind of news stories, we did all our stories on telephone. So we also lost that, that connection with the people, which is very, very important. So I'm sure when you go out to report, when you're able to observe, only when you're able to absorb the person, even with whom you're talking, you're also watching that person. Journalism reporting is a combination of everything. It's not just it is not just a formal, insensitive, "Okay, you are telling me, I take the points, I finish my job." Certain kind of journalism, maybe yes, crime reporting needs that kind of approach. But per se, you have to have a very, very holistic approach to your writing and to your reporting. So which I feel is gradually eroding. But everybody is happy. But everybody is happy with the way it is changing and the way things are being reported.
We'll wrap
Sorry,
up
I
the
went
show.
a
We'll
bit too
not
long.
speak much. Yeah, no, but since you have spoken about the concerns that people not going out, and of course, this personal touch, is it's missing. Apart from these two, what are the other concerns? I think which institutions should understand, and they should address these.
See, another thing is I find there is no time now, again, because of this fast and free flow of information, which has become necessary because we are giving 24-hour news, we are giving round the clock news. We are not having the patience to check and cross check. So that is another, what should I say, loophole in our approach towards journalism, which is very important. Like as I say, people, when we write a story, people take years to build their reputation, but it doesn't take even a few seconds or a few words, few sentences to demolish that reputation. So it is not, we just don't go hearsay. No, somebody has told you something, somebody has given you a feedback, or somebody is actually planting a story, and you're just believing it to be the gospel truth and you're just putting it out because either you also have same kind of ideology, or you don't have the time, you are in a hurry to give an exclusive story, a scoop, you feel that it is really going to shake the government, so whatever, or you're just putting it out. So that the system, that multiple layers of checking, cross checking, research, that is, little bit kind of going down. And it is not, that is why, I mean this, it should not be confused with, because I represent an organization which generally has a very very creditworthy image and reputation, so I should not also be giving any wrong kind of signals and messages. But I feel that it is very very essential to also do your homework, do your in-depth research before putting out something. So if I have given a story as a reporter, I have my desk, which is cross-checking. If I've given the facts correctly, if I have not lifted it from somewhere else, if I have not really planting somebody else's agenda. So it is very essential to go through these levels and layers of, checking, to be
Right.
able to give what is the truth and what is the real news.
Right.
Uh,
Uh, right. Last two questions. What will you say to youngsters who would like to pursue a career like yours? And your final message to Turiya Talks.
don't say pursue a career like, pursue a career like journalism, not yours.
Hmm.
I am not.
Right. Right.
Okay, I am not anybody. So, great topic. I am a journalist. So, what to do as a, see, these days it has become very essential, largely because of the competition and the numbers that we are in. It is very important to have a course, to undergo a course in journalism, and there are lots of good institutions available. So advisable is, because I'm saying this from my experience of handling interns. So we have a lot of kids who after class 12, who straight away join these 3-year 4-year 5-year degree courses in journalism. And there are a lot of children who do say a language course, if English or Hindi or even your vernacular language, and they after that they do a diploma is in journalism, which is more like a professional course. So there's a difference between the two, because the professional course actually gives you more hands-on experience. And by that time you've finished your graduation, you're also a little more matured and you have your understanding of, world issues and world views on various matters. So the professional course basically helps you to enhance your communication skills, enhance your presentation skills. So I feel that is a good route to enter journalism. But yes, even a direct course, degree course in journalism also helps, because it exposes you to the basics of journalism. But all said and done, what you study in books never matches what you actually go and see and feel and experience on the field. That training will come only when you join the profession, and only when you start your life, as start your career as a journalist. So, doing having a degree or a diploma is definitely essential today. And youths, of course, I feel today's youths is much more aware. And though we keep blaming them, though we keep our generation keeps blaming them for various things and being so technology glued and wasting their time, but I really feel that they are the ones in today's world who are actually seem to be having quite a better understanding, matured understanding of things. And they are the ones who are also standing up to fight, standing up to issues. So they are in a much better position, and they are in a much better kind of a much better set of circumstances where they can perhaps express themselves in a much more strong and powerful way, because these tools are available to them. They know, they are so savvy, they are so adept, they are able to adapt fast. So it is, they are actually in a very much more advantageous position, and they are able to reach out more. See, all your, I find on social media, you just go through the profiles of all, what do you call them, key influencers, insta influencers, and you just look at their age profile. My god, they're all in their 20s, and how much, what reach they have. I mean, after 30 years of journalism, I mean, I don't have that kind of, I mean, nor neither do I really aspire, but I don't have that kind of followership. But so, which means today's youth has the ability, has the skill, has the, has all that it requires to be a good professional, a good leader. So, it is just the journalism course will really help them to be on the track in a better understanding, or in a more matured understanding of the subject or the profession or the discipline. That's what I
Right,
feel.
ma'am.
I have a lot of hope from today's youth.
Right. And your final message for Turiya Talks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed. Again, as I said, I have a lot of hope. And when I was introduced to your team and I see so many youngsters, the kind of passion you have, and I find it very daring on your part. You all have this boldness and courage to do different things and to do new things. So that is what, like makes me always amaze and wonder at the youth power. Maybe when I was a youth in my generation, we lacked this, actually, like we very timidly followed, what was laid out in front of us, or what our elders told us, or what our elders did. And there was also, of course, definitely not so many options available, and exposure was very different. But I find, and as I was also going through your old recordings, and the name, everything impressed me. To begin with, I liked the name Turiya. As I said, it somehow, it set you different. It set you apart. And I also felt that what should I say, the josh the josh with which you have been doing, even when there was a lockdown, even when there was a pandemic, difficult driven days. So you have continued, you have sustained, even if there may have been days when you were down and out, but you didn't give up. You are able to fight the odds. You're able to have a very positive approach and positivity in mind. That is what I find very impressive, because I think definitely the youth power is something which we cannot or should not take on in that sense, but we should be able to direct and guide you on the right track, so that you really kind of further blossom and bloom. Because obviously the youths are our future agents of change, and they are 100% much more capable.
Right, ma'am. So can we wrap up the show?
As you please. I
Yes.
didn't, I hope I didn't go too much like off
No,
track,
no,
or
it was a very, very interesting and informative session, right? And thank you, ma'am, for taking time out and for being with us. I hope our viewers must have gathered a lot of knowledge from you. And people, those who aspire to be journalists, they would think, they will rattle their brain. And I can only tell my viewers that thank you. See you all in the next session of Turiya Talks. Till then, be safe and happy. But please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share your own YouTube channel, Turiya Talks. And please let us know what kind of talks you would like to see going forward, so that we can look for guests accordingly. Namaste and thank you.
thank you very much for having me over, and it for me also, it was a new kind of experience. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. Thanks.